Hi everybody, this is Tim again. I saw something really interesting. I was watching a video the other day. It was Victor Davis Hanson. Not sure if any of you are familiar with it, but he had a lot to say. And it dawned on me that what he said was very relevant to uh, the discussions that we normally have. Now he was describing somebody else. He was describing a different group, but I want to go through this process with you for a moment. We're going to play name this group here in just a moment. I'm going to give you some attributes and I'm going to make you think, or I'm going to ask you to think about what that looks like to you, or who do you think that sounds like. And for a lot of us that have been former message believers, you'll jump to a conclusion. But I want to walk through this a little bit. First of all, I want to make sure that I mention that we're motivated to do these videos uh, because we love everybody in the message. We want people to be able to see the truth. And so this is really about helping people to understand that. You'll see information about our motivation and about our methodology in the link. There are other videos that talk about how we do things or what our methodology is. But taking that aside, let's play the game, name this group. First of all, this particular group, in this particular group there was a prophet which was born. Somebody that proclaimed themselves a prophet, and later on other people proclaimed them a prophet as well. According to their belief, he was the last prophet until the return of God to the earth. This prophet lived just about 60 years. The prophet message was not strictly orthodox, but it was intended to be an improvement, a new revelation, a correction of modern orthodoxy. Okay? It was written and spoken revelations from the prophet, which are memorialized in texts which, according to this group or according to this religious faction, supersede all other previous texts or scriptures. Okay? The faith, the belief, is only for those who believe in the prophet. And those who don't believe in the prophet do not have the proper revelation of God. They will never have the proper revelation of God because they don't believe in the prophet. Okay? Present day ministers are not entirely in agreement about what the true message of the prophet really is. And the prophet has the message that the prophet proclaimed prescribes behaviors for women, prescribes behaviors for education of its believers, prescribes adherence to behaviors according to a set of guidelines or law, demands separation from outsiders for the sake of the faith. It prescribes behavior towards those who choose to leave the one true faith by removing them and excluding them from their communities and potentially even their families. And it's, according to the faith, it's preparation of the followers for the ultimate return of God, which will exonerate their belief in the prophet. Now, who does that sound like to everybody? It turns out that who Victor Davis Hanson was referring to was the Nation of Islam. It was the Muslims that he was referring to, and he gave a history lesson. What's interesting about this is that what we discover in taking a look at this is if you don't study your history, you're destined to repeat it. So Victor Davis Hanson talked about, as an example, the history of the Muslims. There's a really great book, by the way. I'm going to recommend it to people. It's called Templars and Assassins. It's a really good book. Take a look at it. It's out of print, but you can still get it. Basically, half of the book is about the Knights Templar and how they were set up as basically a paramilitary force within a religion. They protected a lot of the pilgrims that were making pilgrimages to the Middle East. They were engaged significantly in the Crusades in the Middle East or in the Holy Land for the Christian Church or the Catholic Church. They were a very powerful group of people. The other half explains very carefully and acutely the tribalism that takes place in, as an example, the Muslim faith. It talks about the Sunnis, the difference between Sunnis and Shiites. It talks about all of the different tribalism, where the tribalism started, how they view one another, what the differences are in terms of orthodoxy or doctrine within the groups. It's a very, very revealing book and well worth the time. Revealing for a couple of reasons. Not only to talk about the Nation of Islam or the Muslim religion, it's also incredibly revealing in that it talks, to me anyway, it talks significantly about the message of William Branham and that orthodoxy and how that orthodoxy works. So I want to throw that book out to you. What's interesting, I think, about the message, the similarities between the message and the Muslims are this. And it's not just the Muslims. There are others as well. You could consider the Mormons in exactly the same place, although their prophet was not the last prophet. And there's some other discrete differences, but basically their text supersedes any other text before it. And you can take a look at a lot of different groups that follow that same mold. But what's interesting to me when you compare the Muslims, as an example, the Muslim faith with the message of William Branham, is that the text for the Muslims, the Quran, is everything. But the Quran is interpreted in so many different ways. Each imam or each head of the mosque talks about the Quran and teaches out of the Quran differently. So with the message of William Branham. If you take a look across the spectrum of message churches, you've even seen message churches who have said the message of William Branham is not the true Christian faith, is not the one true faith of Jesus Christ. It doesn't follow the gospel. And in fact, I would agree that the message of William Branham has nothing whatsoever to do with the Jesus of the Bible, and has nothing whatsoever to do. People say, but William Branham only taught what Paul taught, the Apostle Paul taught, and that's just absolutely not true. And sometime we're going to do a video on exactly why that is, but and we're going to do that pretty quickly. But every imam or every head of a message church has a different interpretation of how they're supposed to look at the message of William Branham. And it's an interesting thing. But anyway, I thought it was an interesting conclusion. I thought the discussion, if you want to take a look at it, by the way, it's Victor Davis Hanson, and he was basically speaking about the history of the Muslims and why 9/11 occurred, and bin Laden and al-Zawahiri, why those folks did what they did and what their motivation was. While I was looking at that in the study of the history of that, it occurred to me that we repeat history because we don't study history. So if you want to know why the message is what it is, or in my view, why that's an important concept, you should take a look. You can draw conclusions from the Muslim faith, and you can take a look at exactly why that's true. Anyway, I'll leave it there. We are going to do some videos. We're going to talk about message ministers. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to talk about message ministers who say the most incredible things. And I've got some video clips of some message ministers that we'll play and the things that they say. It's very, very sad. And we'll also talk, like I said, about the Apostle Paul and whether William Branham taught what the Apostle Paul actually taught, whether the Jesus Christ of the gospel of Jesus Christ is actually the Jesus Christ of the message. So I appreciate everybody's time. Look forward to seeing you again. Remember that if you have any questions, there's information at the end of the video that talks about how to get a hold of me, and I'm happy to follow up with any questions or any comments that anybody has. Listen, we also, one other thing I just wanted to mention, the Happy Valley Church in Tennessee they had a COVID issue. The church was basically not going to have services again until that was resolved. I am delighted to say that the church has gotten together again. They have resumed services. We're so excited for them that they did get it through their illness, that we're really grateful that everybody got back into church and that everybody appears to be in great shape, and we're very grateful for the ones that are back and worshiping the way they believe that they should worship, and we're really grateful for that. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. I want everybody to have a great weekend, and if there's anything else that we can do for you, please let us know. There's some information in the subscription or the information down in the box there. So thanks a lot, and we look forward to talking to you again. Bye-bye.